I hope you have the cooler pack, not just for the 4th of July, but for today's video, guys. We're going on the road trip of our lives. We're going to cover all the manufacturers for automobiles here in the United States, how they're doing after the first half is over. Some are doing exceptionally well. Some are floundering. We're going to get into pretty much every single manufacturer from Toyota all the way to Ram. Buckle up and let's get into it. If you guys are excited about today's coverage, smash the heck out of that like button. You already know based off of the timeline down below that today's video is very long. So if there's only certain manufacturers that you care about, check out the time tabs listed on the timeline of the video, and that will get you right to the manufacturer that you want to cover. Make sure to subscribe because next month, next quarter, end of quarter 3 as well, and end of Q4, I will be rehashing this all over again because the market's in a constant flux. And June was interesting because on June 19th, CDK went down. CDK is the lifeblood of every single deal. Well, as far most dealerships, I would assume that use CDK. It is their online web service that ties all their client tracking, new car deals. It even ties together service appointments. Like, it is the network that keeps dealerships up and running. That went down from the 19th essentially all the way to the end of the month of June. So that affects sales a little bit. And so deals had to be done the old school way through pen and paper. I didn't have to do a whole lot of that when I was in the sales industry. Luckily, CDK never went down when I was selling cars. But that is pretty much remedied. I know there's still some where I live right now in Naples that CDK is not up and running for them. And so that is going to affect June sales and therefore will affect July sales. We could see either a big boost in July because of, let's say, the surge in CDK uptime, all right, compared to June. So now that I got that out of the way, the cyber attacks out of the way, that's what caused CDK to go down. Crazy, right? Yeah, hackers. Gotta love them, right? Anyways, we're going to start our automotive news because this is the scoreboard. I'm not going to get into, individual brands quite yet. That will be after this. Let's start with the scoreboard. BMW at quarter 2. Now, unfortunately, automotive news doesn't give us first half sales. They just give us Q2. We're going to have to dig deeper to individual brands to break out first half sales as well as month of June sales. BMW is up 4%, selling 91,000 vehicles. Mini is dragging down the company, though. They're down 22%. Rolls-Royce down 9%, but they're, elite luxury. They sell very little. I would say a good portion of these being sold in the state of Florida. BMW North America up 2% after the losses of its Mini and Rolls-Royce brands. All right, let's get in General Motors. General Motors is at a wash. Buick is covering, pretty much pulling the brand forward here, up 6%. Cadillac -1, Chevy -1, and GMC +2. So they're just kind of cruising at this point. They're super cruising. Get it? All right, Acura and Honda. Acura is still suffering quite heavily. Well, we had the switch over. Wait for my MDX 2025 refresh driving impressions. I'll have those up June 9th, so in less than a week from the recording of this. But Acura down 16%. Maybe they're switching over the MDX as a part of it. I think a big portion is also the TLX just missing in action. It's on the same assembly line for the time being as the Accord and the Integra. And the Integra sales are down too due to that fact as well as initial buyers for the Integra getting their Integra maybe year 1, year 2, and we're starting to see some demand drop off, which is absolutely normal. All right, but Acura suffering mainly because TLX, Integra being crimped in production right now until the Accord goes to Indiana. All right, so we'll talk more about that, I guess, when we talk about Honda today. American Honda overall up 3% because Honda is up 5%. So Acura is still not dragging them down to a point where the whole of Honda, including Acura, is suffering. So they're still up. All right, Genesis, we're seeing a drop here. They have a lot of inventory sitting around, as well as a few other automakers. We'll talk about that before we hit on individual brands. Hyundai's up 2%, Kia down 2%. So they kind of remind me of General Motors right now, just kind of cruising at around 0% right now. If we look at Lucid, down 17%. I fear for the future of their company. Mazda, up 7%. They have a lot of inventory too, sitting on lots, but they're crushing overall sales, I would say. Mazda's doing quite well. Mitsubishi down 8%. We'll talk about them briefly today. Infiniti down 15%. Not looking good, even though the QX80 just got redesigned. Those are hitting lots probably at the time of this recording. Nissan down 2%. Nissan has its own bag of worries with profitability right now, and the dealers, more importantly, have their own issues with profitability, but I won't get into that too much in this video. All right, Nissan overall minus 3%, so they're starting to fall a little bit behind, especially Infiniti here. Polestar, you know, the Polestar 3 is it even out yet? They just have one car, the Polestar 2. It's a fine EV, but it's made in China, and people just are not interested in or Polestars right now, especially with the lull in the EV market. People who want EVs are going to Hyundai. They're going to Kia. They're posting record sales for the EVs right now. Tesla is down, I think, 14% so far. We'll probably get to them. Yeah, Tesla's down 14%. So they're not selling EVs at a high volume. Well, they are at a high volume, but not at a positive versus last year. Here's the funny thing. We're going to get into Stellantis. They're down 21% overall. Ram is down 26%. Big trucks are not selling well for them, but Maserati and Alfa Romeo are both positive. And Fiat. The only positive brands within Stellantis here in North America are low volume Italian brands. Isn't that ridiculous? Chrysler's down. Well, why is Chrysler down? They have the 300, which is discontinued, and they have a minivan. So it's just a minivan, I guess. I just reviewed a Dodge, the Durango Hellcat. That's definitely not a volume car, but since the Challenger's gone, the volume has dropped. All right. And they just have what? The Charger, and that's kind of being discontinued for an EV. But the Charger and the Durango, is that all that's in the Dodge lineup? All right. Jeep sales are down nearly 20%. It is still the volume brand for Stellantis here, but down 20%. It's not looking good for Jeep, nor Ram, nor Dodge, or Chrysler. Yikes. They're probably the number one brand getting smoked in America right now. Minus 21%. Subaru, small little Japanese brand, crushing it. 5% positive. Tesla, like I said, down 14%. Lexus up 9%. Toyota up 9% in the second quarter, even though Toyota's volume actually dropped in the month of June. I think largely due to the CDK issue, but also, more importantly, why did Toyota's volume drop in June? Grand Highlander went on a stop sale. The Lexus TX went on a stop sale. The Prius is still on stop sale for the door handle recall, and the Grand Highlander and TX are due to a safety airbag curtain recall. So yeah, Toyota's volume is going to be very interesting in the second half of this year. I heard that the fix for the Grand Highlander, at least at the production level, at the plant in Indiana, that should be fixed by the end of August. It's a fluid situation. VinFast, don't know how they're going to survive here in North America or anywhere in the world other than Vietnam, but that's just my humble opinion. I'll see you guys talk about VinFast down below if you even care to waste your typing on them. Audi, down 12%. All right, we don't have Mercedes figures either. So Lexus is up, and now I didn't mention this, but Lexus at 88,000 is closing the gap with BMW. Hold on, I got to press pause real quick. The kids just got home. I got to help them in. Okay, I think we left off saying that BMW has almost been caught by Lexus in terms of sales. It's just, 3,000 units away from Lexus catching them. That's the Q2. Again, we'll look at first half here in a little bit to see how close Lexus is to catching BMW in the first half. I think we also left off with Audi being down 12%, Bentley being down, Lamborghini being down. Volkswagen, though, we'll see why they're surging, and cheap cars are a part of it. Volkswagen surging here. That's good to see them recover a bit. And overall, the market here in the United States down 1%. You can chalk that up to a lot of different things. You can look at it just broadly and say, hey, CDK was down a third of the month, and that's the reason why. All right. So let's get into Toyota. Toyota Motor North America reports U.S. June and first half 2024 sales. Lexus records its best ever first half sales in its 35-year history. 1989, Lexus came into the market and disrupted the luxury market with the LS 400. And here they are, 35 years later, recording their best best first half of sales ever. And that's even with CDK going down the last few days. Toyota still remains the industry's #1 retail brand. GM sells more in total, but GM sells a lot more fleet to rental companies, airports, that sort of thing. If we look at their electrified vehicle share of their lineup anyways, it's at 38.3% on the first half. So that's more than 454,000 hybrids, plug-in hybrids, EVs, and a few Mirais sprinkled in there. This is going to change massively. I've done some calculations. By 2 years, 3 years from now, it could be over 60% of total sales volume being electrified here in North America. All right, so I'm not going to go over all these individual records. We'll be here all day long. This is something I found quite funny earlier. It says total NX had the best ever first half sales, and they have HX plug-in hybrid. It's just a typo. But unless, you get your tinfoil hats, maybe there's a new Lexus model coming out called the HX. It's not, it's just a typo, guys. I mean, it's supposed to be NX. So let's get into the sales. And this graph shows us year to date. So we're looking at the entire first half compared to last year. Overall, when you combine Toyota and Lexus, it's up 14% on a volume basis. Lexus up 12%, Toyota up 14%. But if you check this out, Toyota was down 2%. You can, again, chalk that up to CDK being down a portion of the month as well. But Lexus up 6% on the month. So let's get into the Corolla. Corolla's down 11% on the month, still up 23% on the year. I don't exactly understand why it's down 11%, but Supra up 10%. It's still down 8% on the year. GR86 up 42%. The BRZ is down quite a bit, but on the month of June, GR86 up 27%. Mirai down 95%. Toyota doesn't care to even bring any more Mirais to the market. They've only sold 245 so far this year. There are just no hydrogen systems. So it's just, yes. Anyways, Crown up 21% on the month and up 128% on the year. Again, it wasn't sold the entire first half of 2023. All right, so they've sold about 14,000 Crowns so far this year, which is in line with about 30,000 of planned sales. I think the Crown Signia will only be about 20,000 per year once that's up and running. Again, that vehicle's been delayed too. Prius, it's on a stop sale. They sold 13. All right, Prius, I think it's a rear door handle, can come unlatched. Even despite it being down 100% on the month, it is still up on the year, but don't get me started on the Prius. It's a vehicle that a lot of people want, and they'll just go get a Corolla hybrid if they want something super thrifty, or they'll go get a Camry hybrid, which is, the Camry hybrid, after just testing, it has a bigger engine in it. It's a bigger car than the Prius. It's actually slower than the Prius, which is surprising because it has about 30 more horsepower or so. Camry down 14% on the month, still up on the year. Why is it down on the month? Well, they're switching over from the previous generation to the newest 2025 model year. All new hybrid powertrain, all new exterior bits and bobs. Even though it's the same platform, it's a much better car. Watch all my Camry impressions. I have one for the whole week this week. I just did a nighttime review. Check out that nighttime driving impressions. Okay, let's get into the Toyota crossovers, then we'll circle back to the Lexus cars. All right, BZ4X up 158% on the year, up 120% on the month. It's still, they sold 9,000 of them. And it's just sad because so many people want the Prius. And here's a BZ4X selling at 1,300 for the month, and the Prius sold 13. Yeah, it's 100 times more volume. RAV4 up 9% on the month, up 32% on the year. The RAV4 is supposed to get a redesign sometime in 2025. All right. Probably with the Camry's 2.5-liter 5th generation powertrain and a new Prime model, hopefully with a different battery configuration. Corolla Cross up 54% on the month, up 60% on the year. Corolla Cross is selling very, very well. The Corolla Cross Hybrid, I just reviewed one not too long ago. I really liked it, and it's a good buy. That's a really good buy because there's no other hybrid compact crossovers, or should I say subcompact crossovers in the market. Moving on to the Venza, rest in peace. But hey, Toyota has given it lots of volume for its last model year, up 65% for the first half and up 80% on the month. I love the Toyota Venza. It is kind of like a Lexus NX with maybe better styling. That's subjective. And not quite as quiet. Technology maybe not quite as impressive, but you're getting Lexus build quality here, and it is imported from Japan, where most of the NXs are built in Canada, so I'm going to miss the Venza. And after driving the Crown Signia, the Venza is a better car. There's no doubt about it. The Venza is smoother, quieter, more refined than the Crown Signia, which kind of feels like a rush product after driving it. There's just a lot of NVH in it in comparison compared to the Venza or other Lexus models. All right, Highlander down 52% on the month. Well, remember, the Highlander production went down as Grand Highlander production soared. So it's down about 50% on the year, but the problem is the Grand Highlander just got smacked with a stop sale in June. All right, so the Grand Highlander, this is going to really hurt Toyota's bottom line sales by the end of the year. We don't know when the Grand Highlander or the TX down here, we don't know when it's going to come back online. And let me know, I just forgot that I had my little highlighter. Maybe you guys would like to see this highlighter. If you enjoy the highlighter for the pointer, the mouse pointer, let me know if it's easier for you to follow what I'm saying. All right, yes, Grand Highlander, it's selling well, and it would be selling better. But look at this. They sold 6,000 in the month of June, with half of the month being on a stop sale. They've sold 55,000 so far this year. All right. And you can add the TX to that, which has sold 21,000. So big, impressive volume numbers for Grand Highlander. It's a really good vehicle. I can't recommend the TX for how good the Grand Highlander is. The TX just costs too much and doesn't give you enough in return. And same thing with the Lexus UX. It costs too much over the Corolla Cross Hybrid and doesn't give you as much as I would want to see for the price increase. 4Runner. We have a new 4Runner upon us. I will be driving it in September, but on the month it was up about 3%. It's up 31% on the year. The 4Runner, people are here's the thing, after the Tacoma being not the most well received with the turbo engines and it being overpriced and all these things with the Toyota pickup trucks right now, I bet people are trying to flock to this 4Runner because it's tried true, bulletproof with the V6 and its ancient architecture. People are probably flocking to this thing before the new 4Runner hits the market this fall. Sequoia's up 34% on the year, up 44% on the month. Sequoias have not been hit with a recall because all Sequoias are hybridized, and the hybrids have not yet been recalled. There is a strong possibility that Toyota could still recall hybrid Toyota Tundras with a twin-turbo V6 as well as Sequoias. I had a follower reach out to on the channel. He said his hybrid Tacoma left him and his family stranded in the mountains in New York. Okay, so I think we could see a recall coming for just about all Tundra and Sequoias with the twin-turbo V6, even if they're hybrid. Time will tell, though. All right, Land Cruiser, well, it's back. You know, they actually sold one of the old Land Cruisers last June, and they sold 4 of them in the first half of last year. But yeah, it's up 206,000%. And it's sold 2,000 in the month of June. All right. Actually, some were sold in May, it looks like, too. So anyways, Land Cruiser will be fun to see the volume on that as time goes on. All right, my beloved Sienna. You guys know I have a Sienna. It's not the hybrid, but it's up 17% on the year, down 15% on the month. Yikes, there's already a huge demand for the Sienna, and it doesn't help when we see, drops in sales volume for the month of June. Let's get into Toyota's pickup trucks, then we'll get into Lexus. The Tacoma, down 40% on the year. Again, this is one of the additional reasons why Toyota's sales are down for the month of June, is that the Tacoma it's down massive. It's down 30% for the month of June, 40% on the year. This is typically a super predictable selling vehicle for Toyota, and the new generation's been anything but that. It's been a huge headache in terms of the pricing reception due to the turbo 4-cylinder, a lot of people not being that interested in it. It's interesting to see the Tacoma sales down so much. Also, the production has been hampered by a shaky employment situation down in Mexico and a shaky supplier of parts situation down in Mexico, which is also affected by staffing issues. So I don't know where the new next generation is going to settle at in terms of sales volume. The days of it selling 250,000 vehicles per year those days might be done. They're going to hit, at this pace, they're going to hit 140,000. It's kind of a mess. Tundra sales are up 31% despite the recall. And the new ones are not recalled. It's only 22 to 23 model year non-hybrids, and not all of them, like 104 to 108,000 or so. But the Tundra sales are up, and I saw a Toyota ad on TV, and it seemed very much like trying to put out the fires and saying like, I love my Tundra. It's made in America. It's never let me down. It felt like a straight cover up, or just like, it reminded me when Budweiser did a bunch of their, reparation videos saying like, hey, we're the most American beer, after their controversial advertising that really tore down the company. All right. With the Bud Light situation. I almost felt like that's a little bit of the same vibe I was getting with the Tundra commercial that I got. I'm not saying it was a bad commercial, but it felt forced and it didn't feel genuine from Toyota. All right. It was kind of like, hey, don't look at the fires over here. Look at look at this, feel good story. It just felt off. All right. So maybe it's working for them. They do marketing quite well, Toyota, with their pickup trucks, but time will tell to see what's going to happen the rest of the year with the Tundra, the Tacoma. And let's get into Lexus. IS down 9% on the year, down 15 to 16% on the month. We could be getting a refreshed, again, third generation IS. This would be the third refresh on the IS, slightly different styling, supposedly a hybrid powertrain to replace the V6 and the 4-cylinder turbo. Don't know how I feel about that. I would have to see the technology first before I judge it or condemn it. But yeah, the IS 500 is supposed to stick around, which I know a lot of people would be happy about. So we'll see what happens with the IS, but seems to be getting an extension on life because they don't know what to do with battery electric sedans at this point in time. So anyways, RC up 12% on the year, down 12% on the month. Okay, so kind of a flip-flop there. RC is just a matter of time before they cancel, but they have to keep it around for their GT3 racing program until the LFR or whatever replaces it. Lexus ES up 1%. It's kind of just flatlined here. ES still made in Kentucky until next summer, and then it goes back to Japan for that next generation. Lexus LS, it's kind of floating around for the year. I mean, sales are nothing. The sales are terrible on the LS, 144 for the month and 1,200 for the year. Lexus' best vehicle is the LC500. Volume is kept low. It keeps the prices high on it. And it is probably the best built Lexus too right now. The LC500, not the hybrid. Don't. That's like sacrilege. What are they even selling for the LC hybrid right now? 1 a month, 8 on the year. Okay, it is a complete sacrilege to take that 5-liter V8, which is absolutely tuned to perfection in that car with the exhaust system and everything. Anyways, LC500, it's just kind of cruising around the same sales volume. Let's go to the big sellers for Lexus. It's not their sedans. The ES is their best-selling sedan by a mile. Actually, the ES outsells all the other sedans and coupes combined easily. All right, so if we look at the crossovers now for Lexus, this doesn't come as a surprise to me, and I don't know why the sales volume is down so much on the UX. It's just priced so high. And for what you're getting, you can get a decontented NX, which is a much better vehicle compared to the UX. It's smoother, quieter, more powerful. It's bigger. And the UX is really, really small on the inside. And the NX is still a pretty compact SUV. It's easier to park. So the NX Hybrid, the 350h, I'd be spending just a little bit more money than what you get on the UX. And if you're thinking about a UX, don't buy it. Go either get an NX Hybrid or a Corolla Cross Hybrid. All right, with the sales being down so much here, doesn't surprise me, even though they updated the powertrain to match what the Prius has, to match what the Corolla Cross has finally. But it shouldn't match. It's a Lexus. It shouldn't necessarily match what its much cheaper Toyota siblings have. It should be able to excel them, and you should be able to justify the price, but that's not happening here. All right, NX sales, they are positive for the year, down a little bit on the month, but I think it's kind of got to the point, the NX, where it's just about as much as they can sell of it per year or per month at this point. So they're at where they want to be with the NX. RZ, well, we saw the BZ4X was up a lot. RZ, the sister vehicle made in Motomachi in Japan, is also up a ton. They've sold 5,600 of the RZ this year compared to about 9,500 for the BZ4X. The RZ might be the quietest Lexus. It is so quiet, super smooth, but it charges slow and it has really limited range. It's a really good city car. Hey, I'd rather have an NX or an RX hybrid probably over the RZ. But yeah, it's doing well. It's doing well for them, at least in sales numbers, but they are losing money on it surely with the incentives that they have on that vehicle. All right, RX down 4% on the year, 2.5% on the month. I also think the RX is kind of where they want it to be in terms of max volume here. TX, well, they've sold 21,000. That really has helped Lexus have the best first half of the year like ever, right? In 35 years, the best first half of the year, largely thanks to the TX, right? Because what else is going on for Lexus, right? I mentioned the IS is down, RC, it's such low volume, doesn't matter. ES is neutral, LS and LC, they're specialty, low volume. UX is down, all right? NX is neutral about, RX is slightly down, RZ, well, sure, you can add that in there, but really it's thanks to the TX absolutely coming out of nowhere and selling a ton for the luxury brand. All right, even though I think the Grand Highlander is a much better buy, it's pretty much the same vehicle, just not quite as quiet. Okay, the TX is smoother and quiet, but anyways, I don't need to beat a dead horse. I'd pick the Grand Highlander over the TX. GX also has the Land Cruiser, right? So here's the GX. It's sold 9,000 this year, which is going to include the 4.6 liter GX 460 in there as well. It is down though 31% on the year, 31% on the month. The GX has had production issues. It's had a stop sale at the port. I don't know when the volume will get back up on it. It's just, Toyota seemingly having a lot of issues with especially their new cars this year, the new cars and trucks. The LX is down on the year, up on the month. I think like potentially GX buyers, if they can't get their GX, they'll just go to the LX. They'll just spend 20 grand more, whatever it is, 30 grand more. The thing is, the GX is a better vehicle than the LX now. The LX is better in terms of pure luxury, but the GX offers a lot of technology and features that the LX doesn't, like a panel roof, for example. KDSS or electronic KDSS. So I like the GX better than the LX. The styling is far better. And I think since the volume is down so much here, there's an over demand. So maybe the LX is selling quite well for the month of June, despite it being down on the year. So, and it's crazy with all the hiccups Toyota is dealing with, from the Prius to the Grand Highlander stop sales to the recalls on the Tundra, to the supply chain issues and staffing issues, forcing a lot of issues with the Tacoma production and the high prices, despite all the things that they are struggling with and the GX hiccups in terms of volume, despite all that, they are still up 12% on DSR rate, but 14% on the year. They're down just 1% on the month, despite stop sales on some really big products and recalls on big products too. That's what happens when you have so many eggs spread out in multiple baskets. If some of those eggs get stolen or cracked or you lose them, that's okay, because you have 30 other baskets of segments and vehicles to kind of just weather the storm. If you look at someone like Acura, which we'll talk about here in just a second, if one of those goes missing, the whole ship starts sinking, right? If one of those eggs, they pretty much have all their eggs in like 2 baskets, where Toyota and Lexus, it's just like spread out so strategically. And that's a good segue into Honda. For 2024, we have very impressive sales. Honda was up 1.1% in June. We just talked about Toyota being down 1% in June. And year-to-date sales up 9.3% compared to 2023 first half. 52% of the June sales for the CR-V are hybrid. CR-V hybrid is a fantastic vehicle. Get it in the sport front wheel drive and you'll be a happy camper and save a lot of money compared to the sport touring and have a better experience compared to the turbo CVTs. All right, HR-V sales remain strong. The HR-V just needs a hybrid, but it's up 40% in quarter 2 and over 40% in the year. HR-V is great. It has a really nice interior. It's just so underpowered and it's not very fuel efficient. I mean, the styling on it is it's not the greatest either. It's a good car though. It drives well. All right. I'm not going to beat up the HR-V too much. It just needs that hybrid ASAP. That the Civic's getting. I mean, look at the Accord as well. The Accord, 51% of the total volume there is hybrid, looking strong. I feel like in just a couple years, they're going to follow suit with the Camry, how the Camry went full hybrid. The RAV4 is supposed to be going full hybrid in the next year or so. I think that the CR-V will do the same. Honda, however, needs to get that that next generation hybrid powertrain out as soon as possible, because its competition's not standing still with hybrids. Well, some of them are, if you're like General Motors or Nissan, for example, maybe even Subaru, like they just don't have any hybrids, which is just what the heck. We need to get some plug-in hybrids in there. That's not a fuel cell vehicle. The only plug-in hybrid for Honda is a fuel cell. It makes no sense. Let's get out the score tallies for individual Honda vehicles. Again, Honda up for the month of June, 1%, so far up about 8% this year. Acura sales really dogging so far this year, and even their SUVs are dogging too. And their cars are down so much due to the single production line that they're sharing with the Accord right now until the Accord goes to Indiana. All right, but let's get into it. Accord down 20% on the year, 29% on the month. It's because, again, it's splitting one production line with the Integra and the TLX. Civic, though, is up 36% on the month and 36% on the year. The Civic, now that it has a hybrid, I don't know why you would buy the Accord. It's more expensive. It's not necessarily nicer on the inside. I think the Civic looks better. I've already made a lot of videos on why the Civic and the new Camry, for that matter, are a much better buy than the Accord. All right. The Accord hybrid's fine, but it is very expensive for what you're getting. The Civic hybrid's now the way to go, or the Civic Si, for example. Those are the way to go for a lot of those Accord buyers. All right. Now that you can't get an Accord with a 2.0 or even a V6. So if you want sports, you got to go to the Civic anyways. CR-V up about 2% on the month, up 18% on the year. It's crushing it. HR-V, like we said, 21% up on the month, up 40% roughly on the year. Odyssey, we need more minivans, down 2% on the month, up 32% on the year, and we will be getting another refresh on the Odyssey. It will not be a redesign. I think it's a carryover for the next 2 to 3 years until Honda's next-gen hybrids are ready. Then the Odyssey redesign should have next-gen hybrid. It will be all-wheel drive. So we're just going to get kind of a carryover refresh here, maybe give us some new technology or something on the Odyssey. And I will be getting one here on the channel for a long-term review sample, thanks to Honda. So they're excited to see what I'm able to, I guess, what kind of content I can create while testing the heck out of it with snacking kids in the back seat and putting car seats in there and changing diapers in the car, that sort of thing. Passport, well, here's the thing. It is getting a redesign by the end of this year, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, its sales are down. Pilot, up 17%. The Pilot's fine. Just make sure to test the air conditioning. That's the only thing you could find. I didn't really like about the Pilot. The screen's small on it too, but Pilot is a very good vehicle. Long live the V6. Prologue, it's sold 1,500 units so far this year. It's a gorgeous EV, and at least Honda has something for their loyal buyers to go get into if they want an EV. Honda Ridgeline, everyone needs more pickup trucks. The Ridgeline, like the Passport, is down massively. So, that's kind of surprising, to be honest. But I think the Ridgeline might have some issues with the rear camera recall. So I don't know if they've really reduced volume on it on a production end. I'm not quite sure. Ridgeline, it's tanking. And I told Honda this when I was driving the MDX this weekend. I love talking with my Honda and Acura reps. And I'm like, I wouldn't mind owning a Ridgeline. I have a little Honda Grom. I'd love to put it in the back of a Ridgeline. Problem is like, it's just so ugly and soft looking. It looks like a minivan. And I do not like how the Ridgeline looks. If it looked like a macho body on frame pickup truck, I wouldn't have any problems. I think it would be one of the best trucks on the market, but looks go a long ways. And you don't want to look like a minivan with a bed on the end. All right. Acura. We're going to get into Acura here. There's a lot to say about Acura. The new MDX, I'm under embargo until the 9th. But yes, the MDX will be better for 2025 with the improvements that they made on it. All right. But I can't share my impressions quite yet. So stay tuned for that. ILX, rest in peace. Integra, down about 19% on the year, 17% on the month, due to a slight lack in demand, but also a drop in production. TLX, not getting the priority when it comes to production. The Accord is getting the majority of the production on that shared assembly line. Then it's Integra, and then it's TLX. So the TLX can barely even take an order on the vehicle from the things I'm hearing. The Type S's are extremely low volume at this point too on the TLX. So it's just, it's kind of growing pains as Honda reconfigures their assembly lines to be able to make hybrids and electric vehicles on the same line. All right. And I've heard, this is early scoop here, so take it with a grain of salt. But I've heard that the Prelude will go on that new assembly line in Ohio where they currently make the TLX and Integra, and currently the Accord too. Those are all on I think assembly line 1 or 2, but the other assembly line that's being completely revamped, I'm hearing that they're going to put hybrids on it, EVs. Well, that's 100% happening. That's in a press release. But what I'm hearing is that the Prelude Coupe from Honda will be going on that new assembly line. It could happen by the end of this year. I don't know timing quite yet, so stay tuned. Maybe Honda waits for the LA Auto Show, right, where they showed the Prelude last year, which was kind of a surprise because it was literally just at the Japan Mobility Show the month before. And then I saw it at the LA Auto Show as well for the Prelude. Anyways, that's, some take it with a grain of salt situation, but I'm feeling pretty good about that tip. TLX, yes, it's just not going to be where it needs to be for a while due to just not getting preference in production compared to the Integra, and especially not the Accord. All right, MDX. I think the production is down here mainly due to going into its 2025 model year refresh. And so there's a lot of changes going on with the vehicle. RDX up 27% on the year, down 5% on the month. That's despite it being really long in the tooth at this point. RDX would be great to have a hybrid. It'd be great to have, more importantly, a Type S. There's still no Type S on it. And I don't know what Acura is going to do with the RDX. Could they refresh it one more time? That's a possibility before a fully electric RDX comes in and replaces it, or a next-gen hybrid RDX, even though Acura said, hey, we do not want to go to hybrids. To them, it feels like they're going back in time. Hybrids are just, that's where the market is. And if they're going to ignore the market, Now and into the future, I don't know. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried for Acura not having any hybrids, despite them used to being really good with hybrids. NSX was a hybrid. MDX had the sport hybrid. The RLX had sport hybrid. I'm probably forgetting some hybrids in there. Yes, Acura, please bring the hybrids in, especially once you get in your next-gen hybrid technology that Honda's coming out with in 2026. Honda definitely carrying Acura right now, and it looks like it's going to be that way for a while, I would say. Moving on to Mazda. Mazda for 2024. Let's get into these June sales and first half sales, because I think we have some records being shattered for Mazda. Second best June sales ever at nearly 36,000 sold. Best ever sales of CX-50, best ever June sales of CX-90. Well, yeah, I mean, these are newer vehicles, so they're going to be more likely to have best ever June months. Best ever sales for CX-30 and best June in CPO program history. Mazda's like the only company that talks about certified pre-owned. All right, so year to date's on this right column, month to date over here on the left. Mazda 3 has had a return, up 16% on the year, but down 2%, nearly 3% on the month. The sedan has recovered, but the hatchback has not. All right, hatchback sales are down. Let's get into Mazda 6. Oh, doesn't exist anymore. Rest in peace. Why do you leave it in here, Mazda? Is this an Easter egg? Should we expect a Mazda 6 to be coming to record some numbers in these tables? Don't do that to us. If there's nothing to report, no new sales in the Mazda 6 for years now, why is it still in here? Just delete it and we can move on. All right. But I just made a video recently in how I've given up hope on the Mazda 6. Miata down 28% on the year, down 10% on the month. They switched over to the ND3. I just saw an ND3 yesterday, the press fleet vehicle. It was a Grand Touring with kind of the beige interior, and it had like a grayish silver outside. It was pretty. The ND3 is a masterpiece for Mazda and their little roadster. CX-30 has just been killing it this year, up 31% on the year, 2% on the month. CX-5, don't know why it's down so much. I think it's down because they're finally having enough meaningful volume from the CX-50 built in Alabama that they don't have to import as many CX-5s from Japan. CX-9, rest in peace. CX-70, we now have some meaningful volume here on the market. They've sold 1,000 so far of the CX-70. Still haven't driven it. Technically, it's the same vehicle as the CX-90, just with 2 rows of seats and a slightly different exterior and interior styling. It's the same vehicle. CX-90, killing it. Look at this. Okay, I want to look at CX-70 sales, less than 900, and the CX-90 for the month of June is at 4,700. Just the CX-90 is a very good 3-row vehicle, and if it's priced at the same price of the CX-70, which it is, just go get that 3rd row. Just get that extra 3rd row. It's added in for free. Maybe that would help resellability too for families that want to buy a used Mazda CX-90 in a couple of years. Mazda overall doing well. They're up 8 to 9% on the year and up 20% on the month. So Mazda is one of the few brands that is picking up momentum right now as we head into the second half. It's really surprising that they're up 20% on the month of June, where we saw even Toyota was down 1%, but Toyota has their own demons to work through, like we've mentioned previously. All right, moving on to Subaru. Subaru, June and quarter 2 sales of 2024. First half sales increased 6%. Best ever June for Crosstrek Solterra. Outback remains top seller and 23 consecutive months, yearly month-over-month growth. What was it, 2022 that Subaru was in the pits? They had hit rock bottom after the pandemic. They were just smacked down to the ground, and they've had a slow rise. It's still continuing their win streak here. What do we say, 24 months? 2 years straight? Almost 24 months, 23 months, and they barely nabbed it with a 0.1% positive for the month of June. All right, so here we go. Subaru's up 6% on the year, about neutral on the month. Ascent, this vehicle's, I almost guaranteed it's going to be discontinued when Toyota starts building for them in Kentucky a 3-row EV that's going to be shared with the Highlander EV. BRZ, sales are down on it. They've sold 243 for the month of June. If we go back to Toyota with the GR86, it sold 1,500. They sold 1,500. Why this huge difference in sales? Well, I see it as Subaru doesn't see enough demand and volume from the BRZ end. I can think of one reason why, even though it's built at the Gunma plant by Subaru, the BRZ is uglier than the GR86. Simple as that. Like, I find the GR86 to be a near perfect looking affordable coupe. The BRZ is just, it's not styled as well. And that's just my personal opinion. That might not be why it's down so much, but it seems that Subaru does not want to build a lot of BRZs. They would rather build Toyota GR86s due to maybe where the demand in the market is. That's all I can think of. Crosstrek up 4% on the year, about 10% on the month. It's their second best-selling vehicle, right behind the Outback, which has sold nearly 17,000. Now, the Forester is leading sales so far this year. It's up 51%, about 13,000 units above the Crosstrek and about 11,000 units above the Outback. Watch my new Forester review. Had a lot of fun with it. It's just ungodly slow. It needs to have the turbo engine that's in the Outback and the WRX, for example. Or better yet, how about a hybrid? Where are the hybrids, Subaru? Aren't you like 20% owned by Toyota? They're coming. They showed something recently, but yes, the Forester hybrid won't be coming probably until first half of 2025 at this point. That's okay. Their sales on it are still good. Impreza, down 16% on the month, down 22% on the year. Gosh, it's just, the Impreza is supposed to be fun to drive and it handles well. It's great road manners, but it's not fun. Like, it's just comfortable. I'll just say that. Well, Legacy's just been canceled as well, down 21% on the month, 21% on the year. It's done. It's dead in the water. Rest in peace, Legacy. Outback, up 4% on the month and about neutral on the year. Their best-selling vehicle. Solterra, up 115% on the month. The Solterra, I just reviewed it recently as well. The Solterra, it's a good EV for the lease prices. You can get it at around $300 a month. I'm also reviewing another EV this week, which is the Nissan Ariya. So stay tuned for that. But Solterra is a very good car if you're just driving around town and if you can get a killer lease deal on it. Leasing is the name of the game for EVs. WRX, down 40% on the month, 43% on the year. Again, Subaru will see, hey, these cars are sitting around an X amount of time on the lots, and they'll just cut production on them. They're happy to cut production on things like the Ascent, the WRX. They don't want to overproduce due to that, because if they overproduce, they'll have to incentivize to move those cars, and they don't want to do this. And that's why we see big drops in Impreza, Legacy, WRX, BRZ, and Ascent. Subaru might just end up being a crossover brand. Mitsubishi is a crossover brand at this point. We'll see. Time will tell. All right, let's move on to Nissan. You know, Nissan, they struggle with having a really long supply. So if we go back to automotive news, looking at high inventories, Stellantis is affected by high inventories and a lack of interest in their product. Toyota, Lexus, Subaru, Honda have the leanest U.S. supplies, while Jeep, Lincoln, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, Audi, Genesis, Ford, Mazda, Lincoln have the highest stockpiles. I don't know how Nissan was not included in this, because I guarantee you Nissan has a higher inventory ratio than a lot of these brands. You know, on a bright side for Nissan, they've just redesigned the Kick, so we will be driving it at the end of this month, at the end of July. Gosh, it's July already. So stay tuned for that. I'm all for affordable cars right now here on the market, and the Kicks is kind of like a lifted Sentra with all-wheel drive. So that sounds like a good deal to me. All right, but Nissan division, we're going to get into some highlights. We're going to talk about Nissan and Infiniti here. I'm getting a little stiff. I've been in the saddle a long time for this video. Versa, people need cheap cars. Versa's up 62% on the year, 45% on the actually they do quarter, they don't do month here, but it's up 45% on the quarter and 62% on the year. Versa's a great car. It might lease pretty high, but hey, if you want to buy your car and own it for a while, the Versa is basic transportation done right. And it's pretty fuel efficient. I think I was getting like 35 miles a gallon on it. It is slow, but yeah, it's a good car if you can get a good deal on it. Same thing with the Sentra. Sentra, 55% up. People need more affordable cars. And look what Nissan is doing. They are prioritizing their cheaper sedans in order to have better sales. Okay. In our trying market with high interest rates, inflation crazy, people's spending power going down. Altima up 3% on the month, down 5% on the year. Maxima, rest in peace. Leaf, pretty much rest in peace as well. It's not even worth covering. Nissan Z, the beloved Z, up 51% on the year, up 57% on the month. So sales have turned around. How's it doing compared to the Supra? So it sold, let's say, 1,400 units. Let's go back to the Supra here. Supra has sold about the same. Am I seeing this? $1,495 for the Supra. Let's go back to Nissan. $1,457 for the Z. It's neck and neck, but you know what? The Z sold 786 in this. Well, that's for the quarter. Okay, so anyways, Toyota doesn't give us the quarter, they just give us the month. But it's going to be fun to see the Supra and the Z go down to the wire for overall sales this year. Less than, 50 units separates them? That's crazy. GTR, rest in peace as well. Oh gosh, watch my review on the GTR. I'm still super grateful for Nissan sending me the GTR in its last model year as it just got discontinued. Rest in peace, Godzilla. So the cars are up 20% on the year so far, and let's get into the kicks. The kicks is up 11% on the year, 7% on the quarter. Frontier, my favorite midsize pickup truck. It is the Nissan I'd probably rather have over, it's probably the best Nissan out there right now. Well, I really like the Armada too, but they're getting rid of that for the twin turbo V6 model soon. But the Nissan Frontier, I would be picking this over the Toyota Tacoma. I'd be picking it over the Colorado. I haven't driven the Ranger, but I'd probably pick it over the Ranger. I love the fat V6 in here. I love the 9-speed auto. I don't know why I have the kicks highlighted. I love the the design of it. I think it's a very attractive truck, and I love the affordability of it. I can get a Pro 4X in my area. Let me look it up real quick. Let's click Pro 4X here. Let's go to lowest price. Yes, I can still get Pro 4Xs in my area. 10K discounted. 10K discounted. It is a smashing truck. It rides almost like a luxury vehicle. It's so smooth. It has, does it have the Bilstein shocks? I think I'm trying to remember. But it is a fantastic pickup truck. V6 smoothness. The transmission super zippy. I love this truck. And you can get the top of the line models for $33,000. It is a smashing truck for that. And if you want to be cheap and get, the Pro X, Florida, I don't really need 4x4. What does a Pro X come in at? 31K? Come on, man. It is a great buy. It is a great truck. And long live the Nissan Frontier. I hope they never change it. I want it to just stick around the way it is, just like I want the 4Runner to kind of stick around the way it is. The Frontier and the 4Runner actually feel very similar with hydraulic steering, kind of super old school feel to it. I know the 4Runner is a Toyota, but that's kind of the same vibes the Frontier feels for me. It's not quite built as well as a 4Runner, but man, you're getting a good deal. All right, I wish Nissan, I know you're not listening. Sometimes they listen, but I do wish they had the Xterra here in the United States based off the Frontier with that fat V6 to be with the 4Runner going to the turbo 4-cylinder in the new platform. Could you imagine how well a Frontier / Xterra SUV would do with a V6 in it? Come on, man. Nissan has missed the boat. They're just completely are unaware of what the market wants in some regard. Okay, they get it with the cheap cars. The Versa and the Sentra are guns blazing, but where are their hybrids? They have no hybrids. Where's the Xterra? There's no Xterra. So, don't get me too fired up here. Nissan Titan down 22%, rest in peace. It is ending production, I think, this summer. I tried to bury the Xterra topic, but they even included it right here within their data table, just like Mazda included the Mazda 6 with 0 sales. Why can't they just erase it? Are they planning to bring it back? That's what, when you leave it in the tables for your quarterly sales, official documents. Why do you leave it in there if you don't plan on bringing it back? I don't know. Get my blood boiling. They did fire me up with that one. Pathfinder, another Nissan that I can wholeheartedly recommend. You can get a really good deal on a Pathfinder. It's only down 7%. Love the V6 in it, and it's very, very smooth. It's a very good vehicle. Up 8% on the quarter. Down on the year though, but it's heading in the right direction. Armada, get one if you love V8s and if you love old, like the old Sequoia feel. This is the last Japanese body on frame SUV that gives you that really old school feel. Well, the 4Runner too, but this is even bigger and it has the V8. Nissan Rogue, minus 29%. No, the controversy with the Rogue is that Nissan might take it out of Tennessee where they build it and build it in Japan because it's cheaper to do so there. It's down 4% on the year, 29% on the quarter. Aria, well, I'm driving one this week, so stay tuned for my impressions. Sales are up quite a bit on it, but they have to incentivize it to the moon and back to get it off the lots. They've sold as many Arias this year as about Toyota has sold the BZ4X. The Murano, I can't believe this model's still around. In fact, they're bringing a new Murano to the market. No one cares about the Murano. The Rogue is already a really just fine mid-size crossover. The Murano, what does the Murano bring? Right now it still has the V6, but outside of that, why would you get the Murano? Now the new Murano coming, maybe it'll come in a hybrid and change my mind, but like the Rogue should be hybrid. Pretty much their whole lineup should have hybrid options. We have a Murano, but no Xterra. Riddle me that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get into Infiniti here in a little bit. Trucks, including SUVs for Nissan, is down 13% on the quarter, 5% on the year. All right, while their sedans are up about 20%, right? All right, Infiniti, we know that they are down pretty big here. Infiniti is down 13% on the year and 15% on the quarter. They're headed in the wrong direction. They just brought out the new QX80 that could help brighten sales, but the QX80 is not a volume seller for them. I mean, it's dropped 23% this year. They sell maybe 12,000 QX80s a year. It's not like a huge selling vehicle for them to begin with. The QX60 is though, and the QX50 should be, but the problem is with the QX50, even though its sales are up so far this year, the QX50 has a CVT in a luxury car, and it's not acceptable. All right. And Integra is another thing that comes to mind. I know that's Acura. They have a CVT in that. It's not acceptable, in my opinion. eCVT is different than a hybrid. It's completely different. They provide actually a really good experience. Now, I will give the QX50 some credit here. It's super responsive. You put the pedal down and that VC turn, it just takes off like a rocket. It doesn't have a traditional transmission to downshift. It's just there and it goes. Hitting the gas off the line, it's less than satisfactory for a luxury vehicle. QX50 is in need of a redesign. The QX55 is whatever. The QX60 is the only Infiniti I can recommend right now, as well as the QX80, but I'll just get an Armada instead. So really, the QX60 is the only Infiniti that I can really recommend. It is fantastic V6. It's a much fancier Pathfinder, which I spoke about earlier, but that's not stopping the QX60 from being down on the quarter, 8%, down 10% on the year. What are the shining examples here? I guess the QX50, it's up just a little bit. Everything else is in the dumps. Every other model is in the dumps. It even mentioned the Q50. They're about 5 years overdue for a redesign, the Q50 and Q60. Infiniti Nissan doesn't know what to do. They don't have an electric vehicle to replace them anytime soon. And the Skyline, what it's based off of in Japan, it's going to be discontinued soon. So Infiniti is a ship without a sail. Even though the new QX80 is here, I'm worried for the brand. Very, very much so. So let's move on to sister company Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi is doing okay for the first half of 2024. They're up more than 12% versus the first half last year, but man, their lineup's really small. It almost looks like Acura or Honda lineups that are really trimmed at this point. But look at what we have here. It's down, I believe, 7 or 8% compared to quarter two. Now they're up on the year because they had a smashing quarter one, but things are really slowing down for Mitsubishi here as we come into the second half of 2024. The Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid and the Outlander are probably the only ones I can recommend. Mirage, rest in peace, it's going to be canceled soon. The Outlander Sport, it's really long in the tooth. The Eclipse Cross is long in the tooth at this point as well. Now, if you can get crazy cheap deals on them, maybe it's worth your time. The plug-in hybrid here, in my opinion, is by far the best Mitsubishi, but it's also by far the most expensive Mitsubishi. However, you can get really good deals on Outlander plug-in hybrids. So they're up about 5 to 6 units on the year, but they're heading in the wrong direction with a -7-8% Q2. All right. Hopefully they can bring out some new exciting stuff. I mean, I've talked about a Mitsubishi fairly recently. They'll be bringing the Delica to the United States not soon enough. It could be 2-3 more years for that amazing off-roading plug-in hybrid minivan that will be coming. Imagine the amount of like camping stuff you could power with that plug-in hybrid. Would be great. You also are going to have possibly the return of the Pajero/Montero. Cannot wait for that. We would love to have the Montero Sport here in the United States too, or it's called the Pajero Sport. Other places it's still on sale in places like Australia. We just don't get it here, which is a big miss. They have a new X-Force, I think is what it's called, coming soon, and I think it will be a hybrid. Time will tell though, or maybe a fully electric, but the X-Force should replace the Mirage and the Outlander Sport as a small crossover. But it should replace these two models, the Mirage and the Outlander Sport, as a small crossover. When that will happen, maybe the next year or two. We're moving on to Hyundai here. Hyundai, June and Q2 2024 sales. Now, if you missed me talk about just briefly over automotive news, they kind of tallied up the whole score sheet for us. Genesis down 2%. It's a luxury division of Hyundai. Hyundai is up 2% on the Q2 of 2024. Kia down 2%. So let's get into the Korean automakers really quick. It was the best June for the Ioniq 5, Tucson Hybrid, Santa Fe Hybrid. I'm still waiting to drive the new Santa Fe Hybrid. I really want to test it out. And the Palisade had the best ever June, Elantra Hybrid, and the Elantra N. Hybrid sales jumped 39% in the month of June, and EV sales climbed 33%. Year to date, Hyundai's up, I think, about 1.2%. The month of June, they were down 2.5%. Okay, the quarter, they're up 2.2%. But for the month of June, they're heading in the wrong direction. All right, so Hyundai does it well here. They have June, they have Q2, and they have year to date. The Elantra is down for the month of June, down for the quarter, down for the year. At least it's fairly consistent for the Elantra. It's unfortunate people need more affordable cars. We talked about how the Nissan Sentra is doing really well right now. The Civic's doing well right now. The Corolla, strangely, not so much. But people need cheap cars right now, cheaper than ever due to inflation as well as interest rates. The Elantra selling well, but it could be selling better if they had probably the volume available for it. Ioniq 5 up 20% on the month, 51% on the quarter, and up 37% on the year. The Ioniq 5 is one of my favorite EVs. And it's like highly recommend. Ioniq 6 too is one of my favorite EVs as well. I just like the spaciousness of the Ioniq 5. But if you need that more highway range, then the Ioniq 6 is a better vehicle. But the Ioniq 6 is actually down on the month, +8 on the quarter, up 113% on the year because it wasn't available at the beginning of last year. But interesting that looks like Hyundai may be prioritizing the demand of the Ioniq 5 compared to the maybe diminishing demand of the Ioniq 6. Still probably get insane lease deals on the Ioniq 6 as well. Kona, I'm seeing a ton of the new Konas on the road. I get the CVT with the 2-liter naturally aspirated. The turbo's super laggy and this transmission's a slug. So save your money. Get the CVT with the naturally aspirated non-turbo and get better fuel economy too. Or get the Kona Electric if you can find a really good deal on one, because that is a really fun car to drive too. The Kona right here, up 10% on the month, 26% on the quarter, up 23% on the year. It deserves the sales it's getting. Nexo, whatever, just like Mirai, it doesn't sell anymore. Palisade, it's killing it. Palisade and the Telluride print money for Hyundai and Kia, and it's just absolutely crushing it. We should get a new Palisade probably in the next year or so. So I'm looking forward to that. Santa Cruz. We need more affordable pickup trucks. And the Santa Cruz is that pickup truck, but the Maverick has a hybrid, and that Maverick hybrid is so good. So if the Santa Cruz had hybrids, I honestly think it would be selling better. The demand for it would be better. And the Santa Cruz just got a refresh too. So maybe that's why the sales numbers are a little off. Santa Fe just got a redesign. Watch my driving impressions on it. My friends over at Car Confections, they bought the new Santa Fe. They had 2 transmissions go out on it, and they got the vehicle bought back. And instead, they just got a new Camry. That Camry, I'm driving one this week for review. It is fantastic. It's one of the best buys on the market right now, in my opinion. All right. But anyways, the Santa Fe, I think the hybrid is going to be the more reliable one here, and it's going to be the more fuel efficient one. Absolutely. So I can't wait to drive the Santa Fe hybrid, but maybe wait a little while for the 2.5 turbo with that faulty 8-speed auto going on. But sales are kind of down with that redesign. Sonata, people need more affordable cars. Sonata is not the most affordable, but it is crushing it right now compared to last quarter last year, up 55% on the month, up 14% on the year. Long live the sedan. Tucson, conversely, down 23% on the month, 14% down the quarter, and 8% on the year. It's heading in the wrong direction. Maybe people are just over the Tucson's over-aggressive design. Not quite sure. I know it just got a slight refresh. Maybe that's what's causing some production woes. I'm not sure. Venue, again, people need cheap cars. It is down 18% on the year, but it's just slightly down as of late. So Hyundai just kind of hanging in there. Some of their cars like the Ioniq 5. What else? The Kona doing well. The Ioniq 6 doing well. The Palisade selling in huge numbers. And the Sonata selling in big numbers too. So the Tucson's just, it is their number one volume selling vehicle, and it's down double digits as of recently. So it'll be interesting to see where Hyundai goes. Kia, however, records highest first half EV sales. We just talked about how good the Ioniq 5 and 6 have been doing. It's the second best first half sales ever for Kia. Their best first half ever was, I think, last year. Carnival, Forte, Sportage, and Seltos achieved largest first half sales in history. Let's get into it. Now, unfortunately, unlike sister brand Hyundai, Kia does not give us percentages. So yeah, EV6 is up a couple thousand units. EV9, look how many EV9s they've sold so far this year, almost as many as EV6s. I cannot wait to test the EV9. I've heard really, really good things about it from my colleagues. So cannot wait to drive it. I believe I will be getting on the channel. Don't worry. Kia Rio, rest in peace. People need cheap cars and it just got axed, so go get yourself a Versa or something. Kia Forte. This is now the entry-level vehicle for Kia, and it's up 8,000 units on the year. Heck yeah, long live the sedan. K5. Are they just going to kill the K5? The Sonata's doing well, but the K5, I know they just got a refresh. I haven't seen the refreshed K5 on the road yet. And volume is about a third of where it was last year. Not looking good for the K5. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets killed off for the K4. The K4 is coming. It's bigger than the Forte. It's going to replace the Forte. So maybe they kind of merge the K5 and the Forte together. I bet that's what they're going to do. Really excited for the K4 hatchback. It looks amazing. Rest in peace, Kia Stinger. Kia Soul. People need cheap cars. It is down, unfortunately. It's getting long in the tooth. It definitely needs a redesign at this point. Kia Niro. I haven't driven one in a while, but people really want affordable hybrids, and most of them are available in hybrids. Sales are pretty strong on it, and it looks like it's heading in the right direction for the month of June. Seltos, subcompact crossover. It's about neutral on the year, but it looks like it's picking up some momentum in second half. No, Sportage is up about 8,000 units. Remember, the Tucson was down, but the Sportage is up, so we're having a flip-flop. And remember, the Palisade was up, but the Telluride is down. So we're having interesting flip-flops between these two Korean brands with their sister vehicles, like the K5 being down, but the Sonata being up, right? It's just strange what's going on. Sorento, like a three-rows, kind of a Highlander fighter. Sorento up on the year, down on the month, but still selling a really healthy volume here. Carnival, long live the minivan. Love me some minivans. I still haven't driven the Carnival yet. I don't know why. Kia, I want to test one out really badly. And now it has the hybrid. Would do a lot. I'll just say I would do a lot to get the Carnival hybrid in the press rotation so I can review it with the family compared to things like the Sienna hybrid, for example. Let's get into some of the German auto sales in the first half of 2024 here in the United States. You know, I have Volkswagen, BMW here. Where is like Mercedes? Well, Mercedes doesn't report sales anymore. Don't know why. They've decided to stop reporting sales. All they report is cars that they produce, to my understanding. Cars that they produce out of the factory. But that doesn't equate to actual sales, right? How many models have you moved from the lot? How many models have you moved to the fleet side? We just have no idea. But BMW is about ready to get caught by Lexus in the second quarter anyways. They sold about 91,000 units compared to Lexus 88,000, almost 89,000. So Lexus could catch BMW in the second half of this year. Here are their electric vehicle sales. I've only driven the i7 out of this bunch. i7's up quite a bit. It's really, the one I tested was like 150K. Absolutely not worth it. It was fast. It had a lot of cool tech, but it was not that old school luxury I'm looking for in a flagship sedan. I've heard good things about the i4 and the i5 electric vehicles, and I just drove the 530i. Can't recommend it with the 4-cylinder powertrain. Go get the 540i. And yes, you would be a much happier camper. That's unfortunate. I don't see any other sales for like X3, X5, 5 Series, 3 Series. I don't see any of that going on here. I'm not used to reporting BMW sales, but it seems like they give you as little information as possible. They kind of just report total sales here, which is 91,237, up nearly 4% compared to the second quarter of 2023. All right, well, let's get into Volkswagen then, because I'm all excited for Volkswagen. I'm fired up. Volkswagen sales have increased 31% year over year compared to quarter two 2023. What is happening? Well, the Jetta and the Taos are carrying the entire brand, as well as the Atlas. I reviewed the Atlas. It provides amazing value for the money. Standard ventilated seats, sign me up. And I think it might have a standard panel roof. There is just, I forget exactly, but like I was really impressed with the Atlas and the Atlas Cross Sports entry level features. And it rides well, you know, it's peppy enough with that turbo 4-cylinder. And let's get into it. All right, Atlas is up 37% year over year for quarter. We're just looking at quarter two. All right, Atlas Cross Sport up nearly 20%. Taos, the turbo laggy front wheel drive burnout machine, the Taos up 49%. It's very efficient. I remember that. The Taos is super fuel efficient for a little hatchback thing. Tiguan long wheelbase. Well, we only get the long wheelbase here in the United States for the Tiguan. I reviewed it a while back. I love how the Tiguan looks. I think it's a sexy vehicle, and Volkswagen makes very strongly designed classic cars. But the Tiguan's up 11%. The ID4 is the only thing bringing down their SUVs. The ID4 is still to this date the worst electric car I've ever driven. And it's not even close in my opinion. All right. I know they've improved it since I've driven it, but it's just, I feel like you're just driving around one big compromise in just every conceivable way. And instead of cargo, I guess it has good cargo capacity, but so does every cheap gas-powered crossover, right? Anyways, that's down 15%. However, ID4, we'll give it this. It's one of the most American-made cars here in the United States. It sources most of its components here in the United States and parts, and it is built here in the United States. So it is a very impressive American-made vehicle if you just care about stars and stripes, I guess. All right, Jetta sedan. I love the Jetta. Give me some sedans. Give me more sedans. It's too bad that the Jetta wagon, we don't get Jetta wagons anymore. But the Jetta's up 76%. They've sold 20,000 units of the Jetta. And in fact, it's the second best-selling vehicle. It's even outselling the Taos. Riddle me that. I don't know if a lot of these are fleet or what is going on, but the Jetta is slaying it. RT on this vehicle needs to be canceled. GTI, great vehicle, handles well. Love the hot hatch life. Make sure to get it. I mean, I haven't tested it actually in the manual. I think I've only tested the GTI in the the dual clutch, and I think it was pretty good. I really liked the GTI. And the Golf R, I have never driven one, believe it or not. I love to drive the Golf R with that all-wheel drive powertrain. Long live the Golf R. Long live the Rabbit, long live the GTI, long live the Jetta. It's really surprising. The only vehicle that's suffering for them is the ID4. I just find it comical, right? Because they wanted to be, I mean, they even canceled or indefinitely postponed the ID7, Passat wagon-looking sedan EV thing. They canceled that for the United States. And they're like, well, shoot, we struggle to sell the ID4. Why bring another EV in? And let's just focus on our affordable and really fuel-efficient sedans and hatchbacks. And, you know, they've figured something out here, and I applaud Volkswagen here for having a fantastic start to 2024. We're just going to briefly hit on General Motors here, as well as Ford and Stellantis. If we go to Automotive News, where they have the full quarter 2's sales score sheet, here we go. Ford is about neutral on quarter 2. Lincoln is up 20%. So it looks like they're, you know, doing well so far in the summer of 2024 so far. If we look at Cadillac, General Motors, GM, all that good stuff, GMC, they're neutral so far. You know, no big standouts. I guess Buick is the standout, and the rest of them are just kind of floating around neutral. And if we look at Stellantis, they are falling flat on their face, minus 21%. Rams down 26%. Strangely, the Italian divisions of Stellantis are the only things positive within the brand, but their volume's so low that it doesn't matter. Chrysler down 20%. Dodge down 17%, Jeep down 20%. All right, so let's get into General Motors. Let's see what they have to say. Q2 and first half sales growing in EVs. Well, I saw a headline that the Bolt that's discontinued was still the best-selling EV for General Motors in the first half. They've had struggles getting their Ultium platform EVs out. I'm not going to go over these super coiffed like decks and slides of their sales. To me, I just want like a basic graph. So I'm just going to do the highlights for General Motors. Number 1 in sales. Toyota is number 1 sales in retail, which retail is far more profitable than fleet sales. So they are number 1 in full-size pickups still, and best quarterly total sales since 2021. They have a record EV sales, almost 22,000 deliveries, up 34% over Q1 and 40% up year over year. They had their best quarter since Q4 2020, since the pandemic and the chip supply and the production shortages, all that stuff. So it seems like they finally have recovered. 8 consecutive quarters of year-over-year retail sales growth and 6 consecutive quarters of year-over-year sales growth for Buick. Buick, to me, is the big standout here. I reviewed my first Buick in eons on the channel a few months back. It was this guy, the Buick Envista. I think it has a very premium look for only costing around $24,000. It's so cheap. A little turbocharged 3-cylinder, I think is what it is. It's front wheel drive only. I thought it had good tech and good comfort for the price, and just had piss poor fuel economy. That's the only thing I can dog it for, but affordability is there for it. Anyways, Buick is one of the more exciting things out of General Motors, believe it or not. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's just that in our market, affordability is paramount, and Buick has figured it out, and that's why they're doing so well. But I want to get on over to Ford. Let's see what kind of fun graphics they can come up with. Hybrids grow 56%. EVs up 61%. Let's get into these bullet points, and then we'll get into some of their nice graphs here in a little bit. Ford remains number 1 truck seller, led by best-selling F-Series and strong gains for Maverick. You might be saying, Kirk, didn't we just read General Motors was the best truck seller? Well, General Motors is the number 1 full-size pickup truck seller. The Colorado and GMC, was it the Canyon? They don't sell as well compared to, let's say, the Ford Maverick and the Ford Ranger. All right. And when you combine that with the F-Series, they are the best selling truck maker in America, Ford is. Ford Transit is the number 1 selling van in America. Maverick Hybrid and F-150 hybrid sales lead best ever quarterly hybrid sales results. And Ford is America's number 2 electric vehicle brand. EV sales up 61% in quarter 2. Now, Ford bragging about how they're number 2 in EVs is a joke, because we know based off of their financial results, that it's costing them billions of dollars per year, their electric division. We can see Ford's sales for trucks is slowing. So if we look up quarter one 2023 outsold of quarter one 2024, but Ford had a pretty solid quarter two, which outpaced quarter two of 2023. So they're up 5% in the second quarter. Ford cannot make enough Mavericks. They are pulling customers out of the ether to buy this affordable pickup truck. Now, it's not as affordable as it used to be. It used to be low 20s. Now it's kind of like upper 20s, and Ford's just going to keep jacking the prices until demand falls off or until there's competition, whatever comes first, right? All these in dark blue here are new customers. 60% of Maverick hybrid buyers are new customers from small SUV, compact car. I mean, they're pulling people from all different walks of car buying experiences. 60% of those are making up the sales. The other 40% are coming from other Fords, including Maverick. So you still have Maverick buyers just circulating in this lighter funnel here. But you have a lot of, let's say, Ranger owners or maybe F-150 owners wanting to downsize, or I don't know, Mustang people, whatever. Explorer people coming in to buy the Maverick Hybrid. And watch my review on the Maverick Hybrid. Jeez, if you can get it for $25K, I think it's an amazing buy. It's one of the best buys on the market. It's cheap as heck on the inside, but at least it looks really cute on the outside. It's very functional. It's very versatile. I think I was getting over 40 miles per gallon on it here in flat, warm Florida. So long live the Maverick Hybrid. But let's move on to Stellantis. Second quarter U.S. sales results. Remember, they're down 21% year over year. Oh my goodness. Now remember, if we go back, Stellantis is down 21%. Ram is suffering. Maserati's up. Jeep's suffering. Fiat's they sold 300 cars. Dodge is suffering. Chrysler is suffering, 19% down, and Alpha is up just a hair. In this press release, they pretty much, it seems like they just gloss over most of their issues, all right? So they try to just spin everything in a positive light when we know the truth. Stellantis is had a rougher second quarter seemingly than any other brand, and it's not even close. And I'm just now understanding this initial bullet point. Compared to quarter two 2023, they're down 21% year over year, but compared to quarter one 2024, quarter two was up 4% compared to quarter one. But that's nothing to brag about when you're down 21% in quarter two compared to last year's quarter two. All right, Matt Thompson, head of U.S. retail sales for Stellantis, is saying, with the moves we made in the first half of the year, including working toward a multi-energy strategy consisting of BEV, PHEV, and ICE vehicles that meets the demand of our customers and pricing adjustments across our U.S. brands, including Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, we are seeing significant momentum this quarter over the previous quarter of 2024. 4%? Is that significant? Or maybe he's seeing something I'm not. He says, additionally, beginning today, we are launching a national summer select inventory bonus cash incentive program, which will provide up to $2,000 cash back across many of our nameplates. Probably not enough cash back because interest rates are so exorbitantly high. He's saying the new Ram 1500 orders are ramping up. Here's the thing. I just drove the Ram 1500 Tungsten. It's probably the best pickup truck I've ever driven. Now, it costs a ton of money, but that inline six and the luxury and the feel I got from that truck was fantastic. Ram hit it out of the park with that. Now, I want to test some lesser Rams too to see if I can equally recommend those, but that Hurricane inline six is a thing of beauty. I don't think their problems are behind them. I think Stellantis has a lot of problems still to work out. And Ford and General Motors essentially being even on quarter two, I think they're in an okay place going on for the rest of the year because, hey, it could always be worse. Stellantis is minus 21% in quarter two. Who knows where that's going to take them into the rest of the year. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. It's been the longest sales recap video I've ever recorded, and I still have to edit this, and I don't look forward to doing that. because that's going to take me another 2 hours. Okay. I'll catch you guys in the comments. If you enjoy this sort of content, let me know. And if you would prefer to see it in like a live stream, definitely let me know, because I wouldn't have to edit a live stream. I could just hang out with you guys for a few hours and we could talk sales. All right. Thank you for watching, and please hit the like button if you made it this far in the video. Have a great day.